You're a fraud.
You're a liberal hack.
All right, well, the recording is in progress. All right. Hey, Nico, welcome back as the host of another episode of The Hack and the Fraud. How you going?
Yeah, good. Very good. Happy to be back. Just minutes ago finished The Wolf of Wall Street. No, what do we watch? The Killers of the Flower Moon.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Minutes ago, we've just finished it.
Basically, I've had a good look at the Wikipedia since watching the movie on not quite release date, but pretty close. Yeah, I was very excited for this movie. Were you excited for it ahead of time?
Very. Yeah, I was like you. I watched a lot of the trailers. Very, very excited. Went to see it with two Seans. Saw it at Hoyt's. Not Extreme Screen. Maybe needed to.
I have a good seeing it story. I went to watch it at Hoyt's in Warrawong, and I got there at like 10:30 for a 10:40 session, and they had like a massive blackout, and the whole thing was shut down. And they were like, "Well, you might be able to see it, but if it doesn't come back quickly, show's over." So, but luckily there was a cinema across the road, which I hadn't considered before. I just looked it up on Google. There was a cinema across the road. It was this old school cinema. It was so old school that it was called like a twin cinema. Like, remember, like back in the day when they had two screens, it was called a twin cinema. That's probably the etymology of it. And they were just showing Taylor Swift eras and Killers of the Flower Moon, and it was just oldies, and it was $10 a ticket, and like $11 for a popcorn, Coke, and ice cream, choc top. So shout out to Twin Gala Cinema in Warrawong for a much cheaper.
Which one did you see?
Do
you reckon? What are the Russos? Joe Russo.
Joe Russo.
Joe and Frank. What are the names?
My god, Joe and Frank, I don't know,
Russo.
Bob Russo or something. I don't know. The Russo
Frank
bros.
Russo.
The annoying thing is that like he's so irrelevant, and I know we're feeding into it by like even talking about him, but the fact that he's done nothing of relevance since 2016, I think is starting to eat at him. Because that video that he posted to Marty was pathetic. It was just like,
yeah. So that's the thing. I'm not aware of this. I was just like, what's all this talk about Marty and Russo? So what did he do? What video was it?
Oh, so Marty did a video with, his daughter Francesca is doing all these TikToks with him and stuff. Well, she is. It's great. It's good fun.
I do know that.
That Marty has like this Zoomer daughter that it's a new way to connect with fans. He has a very young fan base these days. Anyway, Marty posted a video just of him playing with his dog saying, "All right, Oscar, now give me sadness." And then it cuts to the dog just doing a normal face. "Now give me angry." And then it's just the dog. That's the kind of just a silly little video. And then Russo goes, "Oh, look at that. Marty's got a dog, a schnauzer. I love schnauzers. And his name's Oscar." And then it pans out and he's holding a schnauzer as well. And he goes, "Okay, come on, box office." And then like implying that Marty's dog is called Oscar. His dog is called Box Office because Marty may get the critics, but the Russo brothers are box office gold. And you can take that to the bank.
Right, I get it. Oh, it's kind of funny. It's kind of self-deprecating. Like if you're a director.
It didn't feel self-deprecating.
So you felt like that was...
I felt like he was doing...
I'm a hack and I'm here to make money.
No, I feel like he's saying like, "Oh yeah, the critics like it, but the fans, they love us. We know what the people think. Marty just does these arty-farty movies that go for 3.5 hours and are about, a black and white pigeon in World War II. That's the kind of mentality he's bringing to it. He doesn't seem to respect... Anyway, it's annoying. I don't want to talk about the fucking Russo brothers because I do feel like it's a desperate appeal for attention. It's a long-running Russo brothers and Scorsese feud.
He does love his gags, Russo.
He does a lot of gags.
What did you think I said?
No, yeah, he does. He does gags. Yeah, I guess.
No, like his Avenger films.
I bet he gags the other brother.
Gags in like that. That's the sort of like I could picture him thinking he was Iron Man.
Yeah.
Like, all the wit of Iron Man. Anyway, yeah, we won't talk about Russo. We don't have to. But it's good. Thanks for filling me in. I could have had this conversation offline.
Well, you should look into the feud. Oh no, it's not anything. It's the same thing. It's like Marty puts out this we don't know what you think of it yet. Film. The $200 million, 5 years production, and everybody's talking about the Russo brothers. So we'll sidebar the Russo brothers.
Let's talk about how much I hated Killers of the Flower Moon. Let's do that.
Okay, so yeah, I did get a sneak peek of your opinion from Harrigan, Sean and Sean, Tolly and Harrigan, because they said that you had a similar opinion to them. So I've already kind of had a practice run at this argument.
Similar to one of the Seans. I'll let you guess which one.
Not the one that loved Now You See Me, I'll assume. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt there.
Yeah, the one that thought it was a big anti-white propaganda movie. Didn't quite say that, but that's all right.
Well, yours is the more interesting one, maybe. So we'll begin with yours of not loving.
Yeah, I think I know I'm certainly behind the heap of critics that have praised this movie, as well as a very high. Just checking IMDb, I'm pretty sure it's like 8.4 or something. The audience score's good too.
But you've never been accused of groupthink.
I think that'll come down. Honestly, I think it's going to be one of those ones where the critics love it. The audience is sort of like, so it's already come down to 8.1, a little bit. Still, that's still very good. And I'm behind both of the Metascore of 89 for critics. So, I mean, most people, and that's certainly a respectable opinion to have, that this is a good film. So I think the burden of proof's on me, and I get that. I had massive issues with, annoyingly, the director, Martin Scorsese.
What?
I know. So that's the thing. I think what I hated the most about this film was his job. I think,
as in what he was doing with the film, like his direction.
What he was doing with the film. I think honestly the parts of this film are in fact a great film.
Okay.
Leo was okay. I'm sure you didn't love him.
I actually thought he was really good. He's a good actor now. He finally got there.
Good. I think the tone of how he was portrayed was strange for me.
You don't like Marty's tone. You're tone policing him.
I'm tone policing him. No, I didn't like. So the thing I loved about it the most was the Lily Gladstone who played Molly Burkhart.
I think that's universal.
And she was fantastic. She put in a great performance. And Robert De Niro too. I think they were the two strongest points. So the performances were really good. They were there. So what I didn't like then, so it's like, Nick, what don't you like?
Yeah. So far, so good.
What is it that you don't like about this film? The length, right? So it's 3.5 hours, but why is it 3.5 hours? I honestly, if I gave you that on notice as to explain why the movie is 3.5 hours, because a movie could just be 3.5 hours. You often have to edit it down to a reasonable time so that it doesn't sort of overstay and linger. It's sort of, this is where it really loses me, because the opening act, I was there. I was sitting comfortably on a 9, and it lost me in the middle, and then it completely lost me at the end. I think the pacing was off for me. Like, it lingered where it shouldn't, and not in an artistic way where you feel uncomfortable, and that's what the director wants. I think I was thinking, why are we still here? Why are we still stuck on this, part of the story? And then it cut through really fast through other parts of the story where it kind of needed to get it fleshed out a bit more. So I mentioned when what's his name? Who's the FBI guy?
Jesse Plemons, Tom White.
Jesse Plemons comes in. His character is super underutilized, but he was underutilized. He was really not in the film as much as he should have been.
I like that choice though. Like how they restructured the film to not be about Tom White and to be more about Molly and Ernest to some degree.
Have to be about him. And
that was what the book was. The book was like,
especially at the end. I think I know Leo. So Ernest Burkhart, Leo's character is the protagonist. But way too much. Well, the protagonist for the story that you follow, he is, because he's the main character.
Yeah.
He's not the one you sympathize with. He's not like an anti-hero. That's what I mean.
I was going to say Molly, but Molly does disappear for chunks of the movie.
Yeah, no, she's certainly not on screen for as much. I think with a main character, they have to be on screen for the majority of the film.
No, I think, arguably Leo's the lead, and she's probably the female lead, but yeah.
So the vessel that drives the story in terms
Is
of from
Leo's
the point of
character.
view of Leo, right? So yeah,
Sure.
but it's like I know it's like you're challenging the audience, like how you feel about this person, but for me, he's just he's not an anti-hero. But he's the protagonist, and he's not a hero. You know what I mean? Like he's just kind of a nothing.
Well,
And
I really
we talked
like
about this. Just
Sorry.
one sec before we jump in, just because you had a similar criticism to which I thought was valid in Rogue One, with the main character being a what do you call it? Like a sort of a vessel that just gets dragged along by the plot of the story, that they don't have any real input. That to me was Leo, but in 3.5 hours, which I really couldn't abide, because so much more was happening. I'm not going to say it's like Rogue One and this. I'm just saying there's enough happening in the subplot to really kind of, I agree with you that Rashida Jones was a sort of ordinary main. She was kind of the worst part of it.
Rashida Jones.
And what's her name? Not Rashida Jones. Someone Jones.
Felicity Jones.
Felicity
yeah.
Jones.
All right, in Rogue One.
Yeah. So Leo, for being the main character, was really just a sort of empty vassal. I didn't
liked
like
him.
that.
I mean, he was stupid. He didn't have a lot going on inside of his brain in terms of like intellectually figuring out things. But I found him like a really fascinating, complex character who's kind of like too stupid, too greedy for his own good. Obviously, I mean, any amount really, but I didn't think he was an empty. He's a bit of an empty head, but he's not an empty vessel. He felt like a very real, three-dimensional character that is easily manipulated by everybody around him. You see in the final scene when he lies to Molly and Molly gets up and leaves, he just immediately turns to Tom White and looks at him like for help. Like, what do I do now? Just like any authority figure. And I feel like that's kind of the character the whole way through. So yeah, I can see, the 3.5 hours thing.
That's to me sort of main character, and I think that's really.
He's a representation. He's like, so
of who? Of us?
Of as America, yeah, of white audiences, honestly. And I think it's surrounded by compelling characters, right? You've got Robert De Niro's character, you've got Lily Gladstone's character, even when John Lithgow and Brendan Fraser show up, and all these small roles, all the characters are really enjoyable. Even the guy who's
3 hours in.
Oh, no, but I mean, even the other characters like I can't remember his name, but the good white guy who was married to a Native American woman, but he was actually like Jason Isbell. He was quite good, I thought. And then Jesse Plemons, and the guy who looks like Pete Postlethwaite. I'm not sure his name, but the guy who did the assassination wrong, where when Robert De Niro's like the front is the front and the back is the back. The guy who fucked up the assassination. I really liked him, and Louis Cancel Me. I'm pretty sure it's not pronounced Cancel Me, but like all these characters that are really interesting and engaging, they gave us the flavor of interesting characters. Leo's kind of more there to represent the dumb, greedy America that just genocided these people for resource gain. I think that's what Leo's role is, and also within that still being what I think is an interesting character in how uncomplex he is and how easily manipulable he is. And then also, I mean, he still does, he lies at the end. He doesn't have growth. This is evil. Marty's showing us this is what evil looks like. It's not always Hannibal Lecter. It's a dumb, greedy fucking guy who's, just doing it for his own benefit without any really forethought for the future. And so that goes to the point of how, like, I kind of agree that the final act wrapped up kind of quickly, but I also like the idea that this wasn't
a 3.5 hour film, right? Like, that's the thing. I don't think he didn't play the clock. So the thing about great quarterbacks is your time management. 12 minutes or 3 minutes to go is an eternity for Tom Brady. Now, I think Martin Scorsese did not use the clock well in this film. He had 3.5 hours. We all gave him 3.5 hours. I went in happily. I bought a ticket and I said 3.5 hours, tell me a story. And he didn't do it. He told me a story. I get that. But he basically had the sum of his parts, of all the parts so the ingredients were there. The performances were great. There was a great story to be told. It was a fantastic story. But the pacing was dreadful. The act at the end, especially when he breaks into these guys doing like a radio show. I mean, that it's just an
Oh,
odd
you
choice.
mean the sort of like podcast true crime parody at the end thing?
Yeah,
I really
it
like
was just
that.
sort of there's no setup for that though. There was no. It
Oh,
was sort of just like a cool thing to do. I almost felt like maybe his daughter was a co-writer who just said, "Yeah, do this. That'll be cool. It'll be
No,
a
I
good
think
TikTok expose." I think this was a poorly directed film. I think honestly, the thing that let this down was Martin Scorsese for me, which is so disappointing. So I went out of the film and I said, I honestly said that was so disappointing because I wanted to love it. I gave it 3.5 hours. I gave it my entire attention, and it was a letdown. And he's done 3.5 hour films before that have been. I think Wolf of Wall Street was almost 3.5 hours or
Irishman,
three hours. The Irishman. See, that's where we'll kind of get the Irishman. I also felt was too long. So it was. I feel like he's not using the clock. His time management is bad.
I think at the age that he is, he's certainly less willing to edit things down.
You can't afford to do this.
But it's the old thing. It's like a good movie is never too long, and a bad movie is never too short. I have felt more trapped, more at length in the cinema or at home for movies that go for 90 minutes. This was a 3.5 hour that felt like a 2.5 hour. Like it felt like a long movie, but it did not feel like a approaching 4-hour epic to me. I thought the pacing was good. I mean, I was engaged the whole time. I feel like the editing was very deliberate and the pacing was very deliberate. And when it kicks up at the end, that's also a commentary on the story itself. Like when Tom White does show up and they very quickly unravel the plot, it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, it wasn't a very good plot. It was as soon as anybody cared, anybody tried to investigate it, they were able to catch them right away and wrap it up because the only thing stopping was that nobody cared. And that's kind of like the point of the movie, is that nobody cared. And as soon as they did care, obviously, you can uncover that because it wasn't done with... Because nobody in the town cared. You don't need to take any precautions or anything. And it's the same sort of thing on the wider scale of the genocide, is that nobody cared. It was just individuals and nation states and concerted efforts. But a lot of it is individual, stupid, greedy people who, killed a whole people, basically. And I think, obviously, that's what the movie's getting at. And then also the podcasty kind of true crime satire at the end, I think, is just a further commentary on Marty's saying, look, at the end of the day, we've tried to tell this beautiful story, not beautiful story, but important story as best we can. But at the end of the day, we're repackaging what is a true tragedy for entertainment, for cinema, for, and even that they've got all this production value and everything. He kind of takes it, strips it all the way back down to what they're doing, which is similar. So I like that Marty, as the artist, is ingratiating himself in the work in this manner. I know the fourth wall break is jarring, and I can see why a lot of people wouldn't like it as well. But I personally liked it, and I do like when the artist directly addresses the audience in that way. It's he can't do it all the time, obviously. It's a very unique thing. He's never done it. So it was a swing.
No, I get that. Look, it's something that's not an irk if I was like you and sitting on a 9 or a 10 out of 10 in the movie. That's sort of a cherry on top. And for people like me who are already not enjoying it, that's a bit of a turd on top. You know what I mean? So it's really like if you're on board at that point, that's not going to change your opinion.
No, that's going to torpedo whatever.
Be like, that's what I needed. I need a Marty to come out and just give the sign off. I love the movie again. You know what I mean? So that's not really that important for me. But
no, but that's the perspective that I had by the end of the movie, which is interesting.
Totally fine. So what did you say? You said something.
I just said, yeah, it's interesting that, that's part of it as well.
Another thing that I really don't like in movies, and we might have talked about it before, but particularly was so in, I say, films like Vantage Point, or films where you basically, the audience is ahead of the movie.
Sure.
And that's where you say, and I get the point of that, where you basically, the FBI coming in and wrapping it up, a story that we, the audience, already know what's going on. But it's just such a time delay of like, I know but in a film, it's a bit of a sin because we're not learning anything new at that point. We already know there's no investigation or twist at the end of the investigation that, I've been behind the thing this whole time. And I'm not saying I mean that. But as far as the information flows, it's come to it bottlenecks at the top. Like
you feel
really
the air had come out of it by that whole final stretch
at that point. So I that's why my biggest criticism is the time. It really just does not need to be a 3.5 hour movie. It honestly can barely, for me. I'm not a director, obviously, but like it's should be no longer than 2 hours. This movie, I think you've got a good film there.
I mean, maybe we could argue over 30 minutes, but I couldn't take away 90. No way. I mean, I don't know what I would even start taking out.
So much. It's not about what you take out; it's about what you trim. It just like it's sort of the pacing's just so long at odd parts, and then it just kind of quickly it moves along very quickly.
He let it linger.
But not in a good way. Not in a way that I thought that was a good linger. I thought that was like, come on, but let's get it going. So
I mean, I can see how that brings down a rating. If you're bored for half of the movie, you're not going to be very satisfied by the end of it.
The back and
even the good bits.
You get Fraser and John Lithgow coming in,
which I thought were both great.
Yeah, you often get that. You get the sort of big name actors playing those sort of roles in movies like that. The lawyers.
I do like that. It's like a little, almost a cameo role.
Yeah, exactly.
But they have a chance to shine, and I thought they both did.
Yeah. There's a story there, and it's a good one to tell. It just wasn't told well, and that's Marty's fault. And that's why I'm so disappointed, because I love every other film, and he's worked with complex heroes before, like Jordan Belfort, where it was that was cleverly done, I thought, where he was basically, especially where he, turns the whole camera around, and when he's saying, "Sell me this pen," and we're like, we got to suck it in. We kind of fell in love with a dirt bag.
And I think the
Ernest
this
doesn't
character,
do that. This doesn't. No one really sides with Ernest.
Yeah, very intentionally, because I think Wolf of Wall Street has a bit of the Fight Club about it, which is like dudes misinterpreting the movie and being like, "Fuck yeah, Jordan Belfort." Whereas Ernest Burkhart is like the most pathetic, disgusting, craven, cowardly creature that Marty has ever worked with, that has ever put to screen. So that's hard. He's not a complex hero. He's literally
that doesn't work. That doesn't work. I got to say, I know you're going to say, like, just because no one's done it doesn't mean
not that nobody's done it. I just don't think Marty's
Breaking Bad. If Breaking Bad was that character, it would have flopped as a show. Having multiple,
for sure, different.
Not have.
I mean, it's very specific.
It's the same idea of having a hero that you meant to follow the plot with.
I think Breaking Bad's very.
I'm not saying the different. I'm saying the idea of having an anti-hero or a sympathetic hero,
But that's Walt. Walt is the anti-hero. Walt is an anti-hero who you like, but you kind of want him to get away and all that. There's none of that with Ernest. It's just pure.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
Disgust.
That doesn't work, because that's just that doesn't work in cinema. I don't think. I can't think of an example where that's been a successful device for a movie.
Look, I'm sure.
I'm sure you could do it.
Yeah.
I don't think. I think this is an example of how it doesn't work.
Well, I mean, fair enough. It's just how you perceive. Yeah, well, I've never even been the Leo guy, and here I am saying he brought so much to the character as well.
What about Leo too? Leo was fine. Yeah,
gave him the depth that he needed.
The face he pulled was annoying at times. He was doing a bit of a Marlon Brando.
I liked the pressure was like squishing his skull almost.
Yeah.
I really liked. I mean, there's a lot going on in his head in terms of like it about to explode from the pressure of. But it's like a kid who's gotten himself into trouble. Anyway, I mean, the Ernest character. If you really don't like watching a character that was spending 3 hours of the film with, then I can see how it plays on you. There's not really much. It's just kind of disappointing, because I came out. Having all these questions and thoughts about, the film and what it's saying. But if you don't really give the film that sort of like artistic respect level, it's hard to, really talk in depth about kind of some of those things that,
I think that's unfair. I think me not liking the film isn't me not respecting it. I respected it enough.
I know you respect Marty and you respect cinema and you respect giving the movie the effort, but it didn't achieve the levels of
Like
discussion.
I already said it. The story is great. The story is wonderful. It's a story that it's fantastic that it was told and it has been told. Performances were outstanding. So why did we not get it? Well, why did I not get a good film? That's basically why. It's really just he had all the pieces there and he fluffed it. That's just all I can say. That's why I'm disappointed because Martin Scorsese, one of my favorite ever directors, but I can't love it.
Well,
it sucks that I have that opinion, but I do.
I know. And I mean, hopefully we get at least one more. I mean, for me, he's 4 from 4 in the since Wolf of Wall Street, Silence, Irishman, and now this of 10s. All 10s. The man cannot do wrong at this point in his career to me. And hey, maybe I give away 10s too freely. It's been said. But I go to these movies and I have zero complaints walking out of them. For a guy who's often accused of over criticizing films, I walk out and if I don't have any complaints, that's pretty much how I give it 10. No complaints. It did a perfect job of what it set out to do. That's how I felt with Killers.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Because like I said, your 10 is my 9 in that.
Probably. Yeah.
It's just a 10's it's a je ne sais quoi, which is sort of hard to, a 9 out of 10 is a film with no complaints. A 10's
a 10's like that extra magic.
Something special. So
sure.
so all the films, if you line them up and you said, oh, look at all you 10's, you got 25 of them. My 4 10's are feeling much more special. They're like, yeah, well, only 4 of us. Much more exclusive.
It is a more exclusive club.
I've added a 5th.
You have 5 10's. Well, I've bloody 5 Marty 10's at least.
Yeah.
We
argue.
Yeah, it's good.
Is it usually you hating something, me loving something, or is it?
I think so. I think I'm normally the hater and the fraud. But today I'm a lover of cinema, a lover of Marty for, I think he clinched it.
Marty's don't get cinema. I think if Iron Man had come in at the end, I would have been, that makes sense to me.
That makes sense.
The superheroes.
Well, the FBI
I didn't get it.
I know it's kind of hard. There's no after credits scene. How are we supposed to know what's happening for part 2? Anyway, well, hopefully, he's got another movie coming with Leo. He's got 2. He's got a Jesus movie and another one. Hopefully we get Clint Eastwood still.
A sequel. It could be a sequel.
What's the sequel?
If he's got another Jesus movie,
it would be a sequel. Yeah, the Next Temptation.
He's got another temptation. Anyway,
well,
all right,
we'll look forward to that. All right, well, good Marty chat. It's good to. Maybe we've opened up some eyes to some people who were just blindly enjoying it because they're supposed to. Maybe now they'll critically have a look at it.
I sometimes think that's it. I'm not saying that's you.
It's definitely what I'm doing.
You back up well. With why you liked it, that makes sense to me. I do think some people just saw Martin Scorsese and were just like, I meant to like this, and that's it.
There's an element of that today.
You can complain about it. You can certainly have.
We can grumble on our podcast.
I can also hold him to a higher standard than I do.
For sure.
I know some other random director if that was someone's first try as a movie, I don't give it probably a 6, right?
Yeah,
I'm probably saying that's a lot. That's good work.
But Marty's going for his magnum opus essentially, so you have to measure it by that standard. You do. I think that's true.
100%.
And I think there's a bit of bias there where I wanted to like it and thus liked it. That often happens the other way where I want to like it and it's different from how I expect, so I dislike it. But yeah, not in this case. So look, that's cinema, baby.
Cinema, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I feel like Letterboxd and Twitter, and now there's a whole contingent of young movie fans, and I'm probably also susceptible to it. Maybe not me, but there's people who seem to be watching movies and not even liking movies. It's now an activity to do, a hobby that's separate from, you know what I mean, from actually watching movies.
They kind of have to do it.
It's a personal identifier.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to remove that. That sounds just kind of mean. Everybody can enjoy movies. I'll remove that bit.
No, gatekeep. I love it.
No. Anyway, all right. Well,
we'll find another film that we're polarized on.
Sure.
And have a good hash out.
Have a good hash out. Well, you should check out my letterbox because I rate everything and see if there's any that you disagree with right off the bat. You can sort by highest rated. So you can sort by like what I said was 10. And
I'll go the other way. And,
I'll go the other way.
I gave it a 9 and you gave it a 1.
I've been giving out some ones.
This is the podcast that Sean Tolley should have been on.
Yeah. So we'll do him with Fincher because he's a big Fincher guy. I'll probably hate that. So anyway. All right. Well, thanks for doing the pod, Nick. It's always good to catch up. And thank you everybody for listening to us. And we'll come back at some point in the future. No promises of when. Yeah,
maybe we'll speak again after this.
If I can forgive, we'll see. All right. Bye for now.
All right. Take care.